lovers, we're gonna do month wrap up. I kind of can't believe we're already going into April. And also you see that I have a different background today, and that is because I'm away, and you'll see in the next few videos what I've been up to. I'm so excited for my next videos, so make sure that you're subscribed and won't miss out on them. I only read, I think, 2 physical books this month. The rest I read on my Kindle. So my Kindle was honestly the star of this month. Let's start with the first book I read in March, and that one is What Lies Beyond the Veil by Harper L. Woods. It's a fantasy romance I've been so excited to dive into. I think there are currently 4 books out. I read the first one and the second one, so I might as well just talk about both of them since I read them both in March. And my feelings are very torn, to be honest, because there are very good parts in it, and especially if you're a romantic girly, I think you'll like the series. But also, I never thought I would say that, but I feel like the plot was actually missing some action. So in this world, you have the veil that separates the human world from Fae world, and the humans believe that Fae are evil and they will have to protect themselves from Fae, hence the veil. But something happens, and one day the veil comes down. And Estrella, our main character, she is Fae marked, which means she has a Fae mate who will hunt her down. So she runs away with her brother. But on her journey to get as far away from Fae land as possible, she meets a stranger who's also Fae marked, who is Calum, and they feel drawn to each other immediately. So they kind of go onto the same journey and run away from the Fae. And there's just so much more to the story, but I don't want to give anything away. It's a really great romantasy series, but I feel like, usually in the first book you have the whole build up to the story, and by the end of the first one you had this big reveal, but also I didn't feel like it was a big reveal because to me that plot twist was so obvious, and it could have been like in the middle to like build more of a story around it, because really it was just so obvious that that would be the plot twist. And then in the second one I thought, oh my god, now that we have that out of the way and the real story can happen. But again, it was just so much build-up, I guess, for the third book. And the big plot twist at the end of the second book, again, it was so dragged out to get to that conclusion. Let me just summarize how these books felt. Like in the first book, they needed to go from place A to B, so they traveled the whole time to get from A to B. Finally, arriving at B, something happens, and because of that happened, they needed to travel back to A. So the second book, it's just traveling back to A. So it was a lot of traveling involved. For me, there was just so much more potential for action. I like smut in my books, and these books have a lot of smut, but also because there was not a lot of plot happening, I almost felt like the smut was just a bit too much. I do think that the romance and that the smut was good, but because nothing else was happening, I also didn't care about reading another smut scene. Even if it was good, I was just like, yeah, but can something please happen now? And I will continue this series. I gave both of the books 3.5 stars, so they weren't anything bad. It's just that I expected a bit more, and as I said, a lot of things were dragged out. And honestly, if they're just gonna travel more in the third book, then I might consider quitting the series. I really hope that something else will happen. I am attached to the characters, but also sometimes the main character was just a bit annoying. And also there was a lot of reputation in the book, and I was like, yeah, I get it, you're miserable or that happened to you, and I don't know, I just wanted more to happen and a quicker pace. I think that's really what my big criticism is about. Still, try out the series if you want to and see if it's for you. Then I read a short novella, which was actually part of the Valentine's collection by a few authors, the Improbable Meet Cute series. They're all standalones, but it's just a bunch of authors all released them for Valentine's Day. And also, as soon as I realized that it was for Valentine's Day, my mood reader inside was like, oh, I need to wait now for next Valentine's Day to read it. So I only read the one by Sally Thorne, which is Rosie and the Dreamboat, and it was really cute. I mean, it's only like 40 or 50 pages. It's super quick. It's really a romantic meet cute. I'll definitely read more next year, because I think it's also great if you want to see if an author's writing is for you. But as I said, they're all around Valentine's Day, so I think I'm gonna wait till next Valentine's Day for that. And my physical book that I read this month is Ice Planet Barbarian by Ruby Dixon, and I actually have a whole reading vlog, so if you want any in-depth thoughts or my reactions to this Alien Smut book, then go watch my reading vlog, I'll link it below. This was really surprisingly good. I think if you compare it to other romances, it's probably more of a 3-star, but I actually rated this a 4-star because I knew it would be Alien Smut going into, and I rated it as that, and honestly I was way more surprised that it was really good. I feel like my biggest critique was that the romance was lacking for me. It was a lot about the physical attraction, but again, it is alien smut, so I wouldn't expect the biggest romance in these, but I still liked it. I will continue to read the other ones. It was just so much fun, and yeah, also quite quick to be honest, but if you want any more thoughts, then go watch my reading vlog for it. The next book I actually also read for one of my videos, which is The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare, because I wanted to do a video for Marriage of Convenience recommendations, but for like different genre, and I read Tessa Dare before and I really enjoy her writing. And if you can't wait, for example, for the new Bridgerton series, then I might as well advise you to read a historical romance, especially from Tessa Dare, because I think she's really great. And in The Duchess Deal you have a Marriage of Convenience, and our hero, the Duke Ash, was incredible. A really great character to read. I loved him so much. So he wants to marry Emma because he really needs an heir, but he has scars and like burned skin because he got into an explosion during war, and people kind of call him a monster for his appearance, and he has a lot of self-hatred. Emma helps him along the way to really get out of his shell and also kind of rejoin society, and it was an incredible romance. There was also great spice, not like heaps, but I was still satisfied with the spice in the story. And honestly, it just reminded me that historical romances can be so great. I gave The Duchess Deal 4 stars. I would highly recommend the book. The next book I also actually read for the same video, and that is The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. And The Bridge Kingdom is the first one in this fantasy series. This was so good. So we of course have also Marriage of Convenience, and the marriage is set up between these two enemy kingdoms, and Lara was basically trained her whole life for this marriage to basically become an assassin and kill the king of the Bridge Kingdom, who is called Aaron. And she's been told the most awful things of the kingdom, but also the king itself. But when she arrives and marries King Aaron and also starts to live with his people and in his home, she realizes that not everything she's been told was right. And this was really great. This had an amazing plot, I will say, but I feel like it kind of left a little less room for romance. So I wish there would have been more romance actually. And honestly, if the Bridge Kingdom and What Lies Beyond the Veil would make a baby, I think that would be my perfect romantasy. I wanted to read this book so quickly, and after finishing that one, I immediately went into the second one and also read that one, which is The Traitorous, I wouldn't say bitch, which is The Traitorous Queen, and that one I enjoyed even more. So I gave the first one actually 3 stars, but the second one I gave 4 stars, and I'll definitely continue with the series. What I think is also amazing about the series is that you have only 2 books per couple, so in the next books we will actually have a different couple that already got introduced, so you won't be too intimidated by like a long series. Another reason why I didn't love especially the first one is that everything is in third person, and in the first book you only have one POV, but in the second one you actually get both POVs. But one thing that I need to say, what was really annoying, that Lara was a trained assassin. Like her whole life basically has just been training, and whenever she needed to be a strong woman, a warrior, she was the best person ever. So strong, especially in the second book. I loved Lara so much. But what really annoyed me, that sometimes she would be so clumsy for honestly no other reason but like the plot needed her to be clumsy. And it was so annoying because she would like fall over or got like pushed really easily. There's like one scene where I was like, oh, this can't be true. And it just really annoyed me because it felt so inconsistent. Another aspect that I didn't love in the first book, and I think why I gave it only 3 stars, is that you have this big enemies to lovers setup, which I love. You know how much I love it. But I feel like the king was almost too nice to really be this enemy. I kind of wished he would have been a bit more crueler towards her for the enemies to lovers just to be dragged out. I mean, in general, this is a great slow burn. As I said, the romance wasn't the heaviest plot line, so if you like slow burn, I think this is a great one. I kind of wished more of the enemies to lovers from like both ways, because I mean, I love Aaron and I think it was so in character for him also to be this kind and show this openness, but just to have it a bit more dragged out, especially because we didn't have his POV in the first book, I kind of thought that the enemies to lovers was a little bit lacking for my taste. Then I finally finished Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home by Jessa Hastings. I've been reading this for so long because I'm buddy reading these books, and also you can see I tapped it, but I only tapped half of it because I actually had the original cover, but my book got stolen and I was tapping there the first half, so here it's only tapped the second half, but I will eventually reread this universe and then tap the whole book. This was intense, heartbreaking, beautiful writing, gorgeous, frustrating, amazingly well-developed characters, so funny at times. I just love this universe so much. This is the second Magnolia Parks book, or the third overall, so I can't really tell you guys anything about the plot without giving anything away. I totally understand why people won't like these books, because as I said, they are really frustrating, but I'm one of those people who would likely get a tattoo for these books, so I'm a huge fan. So yeah, this of course left me crying, but I still loved it. And the last book for this month is actually one that was recommended by you guys. I also listened to this one, and that is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. And I'm so sure I'm gonna say his name wrong. Toshikatsu Kawaguchi. I'm very sorry if I said that wrong, but this book has been around for a while. A lot of people love it, so it was always on my radar. But it was actually one of your guys' comments that convinced me to finally read it or listen to it. But the thing is, I'll be honest, I think I would have had a better experience with the book if I had actually read it and not listened to it. Because in general, I might as well just say it, I didn't love the book. And I feel so sorry for saying that, because of course, if you ever recommend me something, I want to love it. But at the same time, I also always want to be honest with you. And just because I didn't like something doesn't mean that I think it's bad in general. I mean, there's some books where I might not get it, but with this book, I think it was more of a me problem, to be honest. First of all, I don't think that the translation was the best. And as I said, I don't think listening to it was the best way to read this book, because I'm someone who struggles with names anyway already, but with those new names, and because they're all in a language that I'm not familiar with, it was really hard to like picture the names, and I got confused with the names so often, and they sounded all a bit similar, or I just couldn't remember them. And also I didn't associate like a man or a woman with the names, so in my head whenever they said the names I got confused who was who. And I think why I was also disappointed was because the book is so hyped, and I had like the highest expectations, and I thought, oh my god, this is like revolutionary, something new. And honestly, I don't think I get it. Like, first of all, how do you write a book about time travel and make it that boring? The book has 4 short stories. The first short story, I for the life of me couldn't understand why the time travel was involved, because honestly you could have gotten the same result without the time travel. Like, take that out, pick up a phone, have this conversation like normal people do, and it would be the same. And also hated the outcome. Didn't surprise me that a man wrote it, if I'm really honest. To me, the stories were just not that heart-wrenching. Honestly, I'm glad that I read it and know what it's about, but yeah, it was just not really for me. I think I would give it like a 2.5 star, and I hope you're okay with that, especially the person who recommended the book for me. I'm still glad that you loved it, and that is the amazing thing about books, that we all connect with different things. Oh my goodness, guys, I forgot about one book. I actually read 9 books this month, but the one I finished this morning, it's also the one that is still on my Kindle. It's My Dark Desire by L.G. Chen and Parker S. Huntington. And it's the second one in the Dark Prince Road series. And it came out this month. It's a new release. Really so entertaining. I kind of forgot that especially the text messages in here are just so funny. I also loved seeing Romeo and Dallas in here again. This book really had a lot of things that I loved, but also a lot of things that I would have done differently, or that I felt were a bit dragged out, or just a bit too much for me. I think I would give it 3.5 stars. In this book you have Zack and Pharaoh, and Zack went to a very traumatic experience when he was 12, I think, because he got into a car accident with his dad, and his dad died basically on him to protect him. Because of that, he has like trauma and can't really touch other people. And then you have Pharaoh, who also lost her dad like 2 years ago in also a car accident, and she's left with her stepmom and 2 stepsisters, and they are awful. This is like a Cinderella retelling without the magic. It's contemporary romance, or like, I don't know if you would say it's dark romance. I feel like some of the parts were a bit too much for contemporary romance, but it's also very light in the spectrum of dark romance, so something in between. Pharaoh actually wants to steal something from Zack that used to belong to her, but her stepmom sold it off. So she breaks into his house, but he caught her, and now he demands that she becomes the housekeeper. And something else that is very special about Pharaoh to Zack is that he kind of feels a desire for her that he's never felt before. As I said, he doesn't really enjoy touching, and he thinks that she could fix him. I haven't read any heroes like him. Also, they were both into the game Go and into fencing, which I also haven't read too much about. So to me, there were a lot of unique points in this book. And something that I don't really love, if I'm honest, is that a person can fix another person. I believe that a person can spark that, but I don't really love the whole trope that because someone enters your life, all of a sudden you're kind of fixed. I truly believe that you need to seek out other help, and that is just something I'm not too obsessed with. It's such a fun series. There are not too many books out there where I really like the guys' friendships. They're just so funny how they roast each other, and I'm very excited for Oliver's book now, The Last Bachelor Standing. But yeah, these were truly all the books I read in March, all 9 books, and I hope you enjoyed this video, so give it a like and subscribe for more bookish content, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!